Few of my friends requested me to make this video और शायद ये it will be helpful for entire MBA first year students who are having their internals. So my topic of module 1 is theory of demand and supply, which been explained by me, and I'm a student of Amity University and it's my first year. So let's start. So अगर थोड़ी बहुत गलती होगी भाई लोग तो माफ़ करना, मैं भी बस सीख ही रहा हूँ, मुझे खुद बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं आता है. सो कि इन दिस टॉपिक इन दिस इंटायर पीपीटी जो कि मैंने दो पार्ट में बनाया है बिकॉज मॉड्यूल 1 काफ़ी बड़ा है. सो इट्स कवरिंग इन फर्स्ट पार्ट आई एम कवरिंग नेचर एंड स्कोप ऑफ इकोनॉमिक एनालिसिस. इट्स रेलिवेंट फॉर मैनेजरियल इकोनॉमिक डिसीजंस, डिमांड एनालिसिस, nature of demand for a product, individual demand and market demand, demand by market segment, and determinants of demand. So let's first talk about theory of demand and supply. The theory of demand and supply both form the most fundamental concept of economic. The relation between the number of items that a producer wants to sell at various price and the goods that customer desire to buy in economics. In a nutshell, we may state people's willingness to acquire or sell commodity. So people are eager to want more when the prices are lower and the demand less as the price rise. So in a simple word, if we talk about when the price get higher, the demands get lower, and once the demand when the price goes lower, demand goes higher as we all buy those products which are having less prices. So here in demand and supply graph I am showing you, so you can see once the price goes higher, the quantity of sale goes lower. So this is how it's work. So in this topic, first we start from nature and scope of economic analysis, its relevance for managerial decision making. So here science nature of economics, if we talk about, so what actually economics is. Economics is a science, an organized branch of knowledge that analyze cause and effect relationship between economic agents, and it are having two parts, economic and positive science. Economic is normative science. Economic as a positive science simply provide result of economic analysis of a problem. It does not indicate what is good or what is bad to the society. But on the other hand, economic in normative science, it's make distinction between what is good and what is bad. Positive statement is based off fact while narrative statement involve value and ethics. And in other words, if we talk, economic is an art, is a system of rules for attainments of the given end. So economics is an art too, as branch of economic offers practical guidance in solution of economic problems. And here we are talking about scope of economics. So there are two major scope of economic, microeconomics, macroeconomics. It was divided into two broad categories. So scope means provenance or field of study. Different economics have different view regarding the scope of economics. So here I can tell you the meaning of microeconomics and macroeconomics. So as you can go through, and nearby I had, that's why I has put it this one. So microeconomics study the decision made by individual and business concerning the distribution of resource and price of goods and services. But at other hand, macroeconomics study the behavior of not only particular company or industry but whole economy. It deals with a specific industry or a sector that connecting of firm and household in a market. But at other hand, it include understanding how unemployment, price levels, growth rate affect the economy. Wide aspects such as gross national product. So here in microeconomics, for example, microeconomics would study how a company could lower its price to increase its product demand in the market. But in macroeconomics, we look at how to decrease in net import would affect a nation's capital. So here I'm giving you the graph for the microeconomics and macroeconomics. So in simple chart you can be able to see it's talking about individual expenditure, income expenditure of individual, households, and production firms. But at other end, microeconomics talk about GDP, GNP, governments, country. So basically, it's the wide thing, and it's talk about the smaller individual. So difference between microeconomic and macroeconomics. What actually is the difference. So microeconomics is the study of particular market and segment of the economy. It look at issues such as consumer behavior, individual labor, markets, and the theory of form. At macroeconomics is the study of the whole economy. Let's look at aggregate variables such as aggregate demand, national outputs and inflations. So अगर मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ तो मैक्रोनॉमिक हमारे इंडिविजुअल इनकम्स, इंडिविजुअल लूज, इंडिविजुअल लेबर्स, इंडिविजुअल परचेज की बात करता है और उसको एनालाइज करता है. बट इन मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स स्टडी अबाउट द इंटायर नेशन जीडीपी, नेशंस डिमांड, नेशन outputs what we are giving, nations inflations. So that's a wide range. So here I'm giving you a simple chart which will be make you more understand about microeconomics and macroeconomics. And here why I'm pushing you again for this microeconomics and macroeconomics is that these is the two major part. If you are going to understand this, it will be very easier for you to understand rest of the economics. So here in macroeconomics it's talk about individual market, effect on price of good, individual labor market, individual consumer behavior, supply of goods. So in total it's talk about individual consumer, individual person. But when we talk about macroeconomic, whole economy, gdp, inflation, general pricing level, employment, unemployment of the country, aggregate demands, productive capacity of economy. So majorly it's talk about the country GDP, country employment, inflation, aggregate and productive capacity. So this is what's been covered in macroeconomics and macroeconomics. So here our second topic is demand analysis, nature of demand for product. So in which you are going to know individual demand and market segments, demand by market segmentation, demand functions and determinant of demand. So first I had given you a chart which you can be able to understand how everything has been connected with each other for demand. So like consumer income, price of related goods, taste, expectation, consumer volume, product's own price. These are the major factors which affect demands. So we are coming out what actually is demand analysis. So demand analysis is a research done to the estimate or find out the customer demand for a product or a service in a particular market. Demand analysis is one of the important consideration for a variety of business decisions like determining sales forecasting, pricing, product, service, marketing and advertisement spending, manufacturing decision, expansion planning, etc. So before, without doing demand analysis, none of the businessman can be able to know how much actually product demand is in market, so he can fix his pricing of the product and what all he need to spend on this particular product, because he can be able, by going through demand analysis, he can be able to know about what kind of market demand will be there for his goods, and which make him easier to consider all this marketing, advertisement, spending, manufacturing decisions and all. So here if you can talk, demand analysis cover both future and retrospective analysis so that they can analyze the demand better and understand the product, service, past success and failure too. So here in demand analysis, during this you can be able to understand products, services, past success as well by going through their statistics data. So while we are talking about demand, let's talk about the nature of demand first. So basically what actually demand is. First of all, this is the questions what comes on our head when we talk about the nature of demand or anything about demand. So the amount of good or services that a consumer is willing and able to buy at various possible price during a given period of a time, that's called demand. So quantity demanded, amount consumer is willing and able to buy at each particular price during given time period. So demand important conditions, what actually is, as like consumer must be willing to buy, consumer must be able to buy, not only be willing to buy a good or service but be able to pay for it. Like everyone wants to buy a car, but if I'm not able to pay, that's not a healthy demand. That will be my desire. But if I am able to pay that, that's then the car company comes, that car product comes under demand. So conditions changes, time change the demand for a good or services. So condition changes can be also big part playing for demand. Like if these day winter is coming, so during winter the coke, thumbs up and all soft drinks demands get changed, and it will be less. So then we talk about the law of demand. The law of demand: an increase in a goods price causes a decrease in a quantity demand, and a decrease in a price causes an increase in a quantity demand. So simple formula is for law of demand is when price goes up, quantity demanded goes down, and when price down, quantity demanded up. For anything, अगर किसी भी चीज़ का दाम घट जाता है तो उसकी डिमांड अपने आप बढ़ जाते हैं और उसकी क्वांटिटी की डिमांड बढ़ जाती है. बट अगर उसका प्राइस बढ़ जाता है, सपोज़ अगर 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 अभी अंगूर 100 रुपये केजी हो जाता है, तो अंगूर की रेट्स जो डिमांड है, क्वांटिटी वो कम हो जाती है. मैं सिर्फ जाके 100 ग्राम ख़रीदता हूँ. लेकिन अगर वही 20 रुपये केजी अंगूर बिकने लगे तो मैं जाऊँगा और उससे 1 केजी अंगूर खरीदूँगा. देन द क्वांटिटी डिमांड गोज़ अप. कंज्यूमर लाइक लो प्राइजेज. द लोअर द प्राइस, द मोर दे आर विलिंग एंड एबल टू बाय. So like we talk about, if we're talking about demands, let's discuss the type of demand. Few important different type of demand are as like price demand. It's referred to various type of quantities of goods or services that a customer will buy at quoted price and given time, considering the other thing remaining constant. Income demand: it refers to various type of quantities of goods or a service that a customer will buy at different stage of income, considering the other things remain constant. And then cross demand: this means that the product demand does not depend on its own cost but depend on the cost of other related commodity. And then we have direct demand: when goods or services satisfy an individual wants directly, it is known as direct demand. So fifth important is derived demand or indirect demand. The goods or services demand or needed for manufacturing the goods and satisfying the consumer indirectly is known as derived demand. And then we have joint demand. So the produce a product to produce a product that are mainly things that are related to each other. For example, to produce bread we need to service like an oven, fuel, flour, meal and more. So the demand for other additional things to produce a product is known as a joint demand. And here composite demand: a composite demand can be described when goods and service are utilized for more than one cause. Example is coal. Individual demand and market demand. There are two type of demands if we talk about. So individual demand is implement the quantity of good or service which an individual is willing to buy at certain price over a period of time. Example: per week, per month or per year. In simple word, individual demand is the demand for a commodity by an individual buyer. For example, given are the price per kg of orange and the quantity demanded by the customer. Suppose its individual demand is all about, if we talk about simple, it's just how individual my demand is. So I can show you in a graph how actually individual demands work. So this is the graph of individual demand graph. So here you can be able to see the price of orange is 100, then the quantity what I'm demanding as an individual is 5 kg. But at the same time when it goes to 200, I start taking 1 kg. So this is the independent demands, individual demands. So here the curves we are talking about, individual demand curve. An individual demand curve represents the quantity demanded by the individual household at various price. We can also say that it's graphical representation of the individual demand schedule. So the same thing would here you will be able to see. It's like the price goes 100, then we are demanding 5 kg, and the similar time is showing 200, then the price quantity what I'm demanding is 1 kg. So here we are talking about the same. So I'm giving you the example. Considering the above example, the curve will be drawn as follow. You can be able to see, like here it's once it comes to 200, the demand curve goes down, and it the quantity would be demand will be for 1 kg. But here at once it's 100, the price goes lower, the quantity demand goes higher, and it comes somewhere around 5 kg. So here we are talking about market demand now. So market demand refer to the sum total of the individual demands of all the consumer for commodity in a market over a period of time at given price, other factors being constant. For example, given are the price per kg of sugar and the quantity demanded by all four consumer. I'm giving here the example for four individual consumers, but when they are purchasing the same product from the market, it's come under market demand of that particular goods. So here you can see the price per kg of sugar when it's come 50. So individually A has bought 10 kg, B has bought 10 kg, C had bought 15 kg, and then D had bought total 20 kg. So in total market demand of sugar comes to 55 kg. But here once the price is higher, the all individual demand goes lower and the market demands come to 10 kg. So this is 2 is our individual demand and this 10 is market demand. So I guess you is be able to understand this. So when we make a market demand curve, we indicate the entire individual's demands in similar. So the market demand curve graphically indicate the horizontal sum of the individual demand curves. With the help of market demand, the firm can understand the entire market and not just the individual customers. For example, considering the above example, the curve will be plotted as under. So here the same thing what I had explained you. Once the price goes higher as is 100, so my market demand goes lower as individual people start buying less quantity, so it comes to 10 kg. This will be the market demand of that particular product. But once the price goes lower and when it comes to 50 rupees per kg, then you can be able to see the demand goes to 50 kg total, as individually everyone has buying more and more in quantity. So we are talking about demand of market segmentation. There are how we do market segmentation basically. So market segmentation is the actual process of identifying segment of the market and the process of dividing a broad customer base into subgroup of consumer consisting of existing and prospective customers. Market segmentation is a consumer oriented process and can be applied to the almost any type of market. The traditional variable that may be used for market segmentation can be grouped into four main categories: demographic, geographic, psychographic, and behavior. So here are four major type of market segment. First is geographic, second is demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. So in geographic we take consider of the region, county size, city size, population, density, climate. And in demographic we take market segmentation on the basis of age, gender, family size, family life cycle, income, occupation, education, religion, race, nationality. And in psychography, we take consider social class, lifestyle, personality. And in behavior, talk we consider the purchase occasion, benefit south, user status, usage rate, loyalty status, readiness state, attitude towards the product. So the same thing I am giving on a brief chart. The demographic marketing we consider the age, genders, income level, geographic location, family structure, religion and ethnicities, occupation and education label. Like if we talk about demographic marketing segmentation of particular product, if we are talking about iPhone, so during iPhone, first we check what age people liking this more, what kind of what gender people purchasing this more, what was their income level, what was their geographical location, more are from village or more are from metro cities, what are their family structures, is all are family of 5 or family of 1, religion and ethnicity, occupation and education level. So like the person who is purchasing the product, what occupations, what education level they have, it helps more and more businessmen to decide their product pricing, and the quantity as well. So the second thing will be geographical segmentation. In that we should consider the location, time zone, climate as season, cultural preference, languages, urban city. Suppose if you give you example of small example, like if I want to make a petrol station, petrol pump, I would consider a location near to highway. But if I take it to nearby midtown, or like the place where there is less roads, less cars, so the demand of my particular business would be so lower because of the location, as there was no cars, no needs of fuel. So same goes with climate as season. If in Simla, if I start air condition industry, I will be having very less demands from the native places, because the season and climate was always cool at that place. Like we talk about cultural preference. So if I'm going to South India, and if I start selling North Indian things, like if we talk about some goods which are which we sell during the festivals. Suppose today is Chhat Puja starting, and in South India, Bangalore, if I am selling all the all the things used for Chhat Puja, there will be less demand. But the same shop, if I had open in Bihar, UP, there will be high number of demand for each and everything which been used for Chhat Puja. So this is comes under cultural preference. The language is also major things we have to consider while launching our product. So this is all been taken care and urban cities. So here the third next important segmentation is psychographic segmentation. So psychographic segmentation is a type of market segment that pay attention to consumer perceptions, thought, and belief, and also utilize this data to create customer segments. It is an important process that bridge the gap between consumer psychological dispositions and your product. So during this we take care of our consumer values, activities, behavior, their interest, attitudes, and opinions. So here we are talking about behavior segmentation. So during behavior segmentation, we consider purchase behavior, occasion, and timing on which our products are getting sold lower or higher, benefits sought, customer loyalty, customer journey stage, engagement, and satisfaction. So at last point we are here on determinants of demand. So there are many determinants of demand, but the top 5 determinants of demand are as follow, which we are going to discuss. First is product cost. Demand of product change as per the change in the price of commodity. People deciding to buy a product remain constant only if all the factors related to it remain unchanged. So product cost matter lot for demand. And the next is the income of the consumer. When the income increase, the number of goods demand also increase. Likewise, if the income decrease, the demand also decrease. Third, we are talking about cost of related goods and services. For complementary product, an increase in cost of an commodity will decrease the demand for a complementary product. Example, an increase in the rate of bread will decrease the demand for butter. As bread get higher in rate, we stop purchasing bread. So obvious complementary we use butter with bread, so our demand of butter will also get decreased, as butter price was similar, but just because the bread price got higher and it's related to that goods, so here the demand for butter get decreased. And similar, an increase in the rate of any one commodity will generate the demand for a substitute product to increase. Example, increase in the cost of tea will raise the demand for coffee and therefore decrease the demand for tea. Like if any products price get raised, we start looking for substitute of that. So if the tea price got higher, the consumer shift their self to coffee and therefore decrease the demand for tea as well. So consumer expectation, this is also very major. High expectation of income or expectation in increase in price is a good also lead to an increase in demand. Similarly, low expectation of income or low pricing of goods will decrease the demand. Buyer in market. If the number of buyer for commodity are more or less, then there will be shift in demand. So this was in total my first module, first part. So in next part I am going to talk about supply function, determinants of supply, law of supply, elasticity of supply, concept of demand, income, cross, price, advertising, elasticity, theorem of price, demand forecasting, need for forecasting, and technique of forecasting. So these are the topic, 9 topic which I am going to cover in my next module, like next part, because it's total part of first module only, which we are supposed to give our internal test in coming week. So guys, if you guys liking this, and if you feel that I'm be able to make you understand, do like, do comments, and if you feel I was wrong somewhere, you should let me know, so I could ensure to in my next video, in my next tutorial video, I would improve that same, as I'm first year student and I'm still itself learning all this thing. But for my friends and other first year students, I'm making this to make their life easier. Thank you so much, have a good day.